Joining me now is the global leadership expert, Chris Roebuck, a former head of leadership at UBS. Chris, if ever there were a test of leadership, this is it, isn't it?
I think that's an underestimate, Ben, to be honest. It's a test of leadership for the Swiss government, for the Swiss regulator, and for UBS, and for Switzerland as a country. I mean, we've got here, to some degree, a reversal of where we were in the financial crisis, where UBS was hit badly and Credit Suisse wasn't. And the reason we're here now is fundamentally that because UBS was hit badly and bailed out, it learned the lessons. And what's interesting is that since the financial crisis, it's clear that from scandals and other things, Credit Suisse did not learn those lessons. And the fundamental one is just making money at any cost is a recipe for disaster. And your risk management must be right. And leadership is about integrity as much as profitability.
I just want to touch on this reported figure that UBS has apparently offered to buy Credit Suisse for $1 billion US, we're being told. But I'm just seeing a Reuters update saying that Credit Suisse has declined to comment on that Financial Times story about the size of the UBS offer. If it were $1 billion US, is that a credible figure or not?
In terms of, I can't comment on whether 1 billion is credible because we're not completely sure exactly what elements of Credit Suisse the UBS might be taking over, whether it's the whole lot, whether it's potentially then going to be elements subsequently sold off. But from the perspective of a global bank, 1 billion is pretty much petty cash. And so therefore, what's happening is the UBS side are saying, look, the culture at Credit Suisse is not good. The leadership clearly hasn't been that good. And what is the impact going to be on us if we take on what other people perceive to be a toxic problem?
Chris, the other point I want to touch on with you is the impact potentially on people and jobs. Credit Suisse has a global staff, or at the end of last year, had a global staff of over 50,000. I mean, UBS, similarly huge organisation. What effect could this have on jobs, not just in the UK, but globally?
Okay, so there will be an impact. There has to be an impact, both in terms of global and local in Switzerland. So local in Switzerland, both of them have retail branches on the high street. The same with all bank mergers anywhere at the local level, you are not going to have two branches of the same bank on the high street. So there will be casualties there. Both have significant wealth management in terms of ultra rich people around the world. Now, some of those can be transferred, but they're not going to need all of those people. Also, both have an investment bank. Again, you'll have duplication. So the reality is that there is duplication, and the chances are that clearly from UBS's position, they're not going to want to get rid of their own people when they can get rid of somebody else's people, when they know how good their own people are and that their own people stick to the rules. So it's a massive, massive issue around people, around leadership, around change, not just a financial one.
OK, Chris, really good to get your analysis and your thoughts. Thanks very much for joining us here on BBC News. Chris Roebuck there, global leadership expert and former head of leadership at UBS.